Alright folks, here is step one on the straight razor build. Now we're going to go through this start to finish. This is the first thing we have to do. Now this file I showed you in the last video. Now files are very hard, they're very brittle. I could put this on the anvil and hit it with a hammer hard enough and it'll break it. So what we're going to do, we're going to anneal it. What that means is I'm going to put it in the forge here and I'm going to heat it until it's very, very hot and then let it cool naturally. And it'll take at least an hour for it to cool down, and what that'll do, that'll soften it so I can work with it. Because right now if I try to drill a hole in it, I couldn't drill a hole in it. I could cut it with a side grinder, but I don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and get it annealed. Now this is a weed burner, plain old everyday Harbor Freight weed burner. And I prefer to do this by hand, especially on the smaller stuff, because I want to see the colors in the steel and all that type of thing. So just bear with me for a minute and we'll get this thing hot. Alright, got the color I want. Slide it up inside the forge there. I'm going to leave it, not going to touch it. I'll let it cool down and I'll work on it some more tomorrow. That'll stay, like I said, it'll take at least an hour or so for it to cool off. But it's so late in the day that I'm just going to let it sit and I'll work on it some more tomorrow. Alright, part one of the straight razor build. Step two in the straight razor build. Alright, got it annealed, took it out of the forge, cleaned it up on the sander a little bit. It's always easier to work with a clean piece of steel, especially when it comes out of the forge. It's all got that scale all over it. Now what you want to do next is check it and make sure, move the camera, make sure your steel is soft. Make sure you've got it annealed properly. So you take another file and see if it'll cut it. See there? It cuts it. Checking in all the spots where you're going to be working. And that's good. Now it's ready to work now. Now I would love for these marks to stay in there. And I've tried to make them stay in there, but they won't. They'll get washed out in the when the forge this end of it to turn up the finger guard. They'll get washed out. So now I like to get a general idea of what I want. This is a commercial straight razor, kind that you slide the blades in. I just want to get a general length and shape. Now this one is 6 inches. I want about 6.5 inches length in case I need to adjust on the end back and forth. But no, 6 inches is about pretty much normal, maximum. Now this is going to be a using straight razor. This guy's going to actually use this to shave with every day. It's not a lot of people, I'll call them, I don't want to call it a novelty, but a lot of people like the big straight razors to look like a big bad guy. This is not what this is all about. This is for a real usable razor. Alright, so we see on this one, okay, we want a tang on it to come right in there somewhere, and all the way to the end. Okay, now I want the blade section here, I want it bigger than this because I'm going to do some adjusting in here as we get it built, as it gets into the forge. Now we can bring the tang down. Now see how that's just straight? Okay, I'm not copying that, so I don't want that. I'm going to put my own little shape to it and flare it up a little bit. And that's what's good about making anything, is you can do it however you want to do it. Put your own little touch on it. Alright, and that is the basic shape of the razor. Now the next step will be take the side grinder. I'm going to remove the most of this material, and I'm going to take the file, between the file and the grinder, I'm going to file it, get it all smooth. Then I'll have to go back in the forge, because this area here, like you see on this one, that's got just a slight turn up. This one will have more. The tang of the file is I'm going to forge it up, so when you hold the razor, that's where your finger rests, right there. Alright, that's step 2. And I've got some other blades to cut as well as this, so I'll get on my apron and get all ready and cut for the next couple hours, and I'll show you this one when I get to it. Alright, next step. I've got the material removed that I want. Now that was really ragged, so I put that on the grinder. Got it almost the shape I want. I ground out a little bit of the end, and now I'm going to put it in the vise. Take a round file, chainsaw file, one little concave indentation, just like that. Now I'll square some of this off. I'll take a little bit of this off on the grinder. Now, coming right along. I'm going to work as long as I can today. This is actually Thursday, the 22nd. That we've been talking about that storm here lately. A little more of that piece off. It's the back end of it's blowing through. It's blowing storms up on us. We're still under tornado watches and warnings. There's a warning just went up for Pensacola over to our east. So I'm keeping an eye on that and just piddling with this for right now. And it's hot. The humidity is just awful. And everything outside is wet, like I mentioned in another video. On and on and on. I know. Whine. But there we go. That is it so far. And when I get the rest of it shaped out, I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to do this the same way, but I'm going to take the flat file, put in here, and file that like I want it. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the curl on the blade, on the finger guard. Instead of getting it hot out in the big forge, I'll just use my little propane torch here. This is MAP gas. It gets hotter than regular propane. Pardon me, because I don't want the blade to get so hot to where I lose all that softness, because I still got plenty of work to do on it. I just want to get this hot enough to bend it. Bend it and make sure it's flat. Now I do the final heat treat. I use the big forge outside the propane forge. Alright, let's see if that's hot enough. Yeah, that's what I want right there. So when you're holding it, that's your finger. Okay. I almost touched it. Alright, you can see the blade profile so far. Now a lot of these file marks that's in here, I'm going to leave some of those so you can tell what it was. And it's just possible we might be able to save the Black Diamond USA stamp there. It may be able to see it still. That'd be cool. But most of these will come out, and I put my blade etch on it up here somewhere. And keep in mind, this can be done also with 1095 high carbon steel, 012 steel, even an old quality saw blade, almost anything you want. But I'm using the file to show the importance of why you don't throw stuff away even though it's old and wore out. Alright, so let that cool. I'll clean that up and I'll start the grinding process to get the bevels. And I've got some fancy file work to do on the back. And I think I'll go ahead and call this part 1 of the series, because I'm working on this and 3 other projects all at the same time, so I've got to put a little bit of attention to the other ones while this is cooling down. Alright, end of part 1. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you later.